Earlier this evening, the last episode in the situation comedy series Ever Decreasing Circles was shown on BBC One. We took the opportunity to go behind the scenes there to talk to Harold Snow, the producer, and Richard Bryce, the star. Both of them old hands of the genre, or some people call it these days genre, in addition to others who believe they know what makes a successful sitcom.
Right. So, Richard, reaction from you, please, looking at the at John's face. So, stand by, please.
Sitcom is denigrated to a great extent of not being drama and where does it belong. Really, it was, in the old days, like comedy. And there was no place between, in television, between drama and variety. So where were people like me, the light comedians of the day, or the farceurs of the day, going to go?
A warm welcome to tonight's recording of a brand new series of Ever Decreasing Circles. We've got a marvellous show lined up for you tonight, and it's a lot of laughs, a lot of fun, and of course you play a very important part in the proceedings tonight, because we need you desperately, ladies and gentlemen, because it is a comedy. If you do hear anything funny, if you could laugh, ladies and gentlemen, we'd really appreciate it. We've actually got microphones hanging down above your head, so we do pick up your reaction as and when you react. Our producer tonight, our award-winning executive producer, stroke director, who sits up in the gallery. He's the top man, the man in charge. It's Mr. Snowd, Mr. Harold Snowd, and he said he wants to create like a party atmosphere tonight. That's what he said.
The way we have done situation comedies over the last 30 years, since virtually situation comedy's been about, hasn't really changed at all. We still record the program. Obviously we do our pre-filming, but the studio side is still recorded in one day and then performed in front of an audience at the end of that day.
We pride ourselves here at the BBC. We're not like the Americans. When the Americans make a comedy show, they put the laughs on after. We don't. Well, we haven't done up until tonight.
We do not use canned laughter at all. All our shows are shown to an audience, and that is their genuine reaction that you hear.
Studio laugh tracks are often criticised by the critics of sitcom. It's one of the aspects of sitcom they seize on. They don't like being pressurised, as they would see, into laughing. They would rather choose when they want to laugh themselves. For me, it's an absolute necessity. It's an essential part of the genre, because situation comedy, like comedy generally, depends on an idea of shared pleasure, of communal audience pleasure, and the laugh track recreates that sort of shared feeling, that communal feeling. Laughing on your own is a fairly perverse thing to do.
Studio audiences are invited along, and they're absolutely vital for two main reasons. One is it's great for the actors, because comedy, as distinct from a drama, needs an audience, from the actor's point of view, to be able to play to and build on.
And I got angrier and redder and started shouting, and in the end I stormed out and slammed the door.
Oh.
I'm impressed.
What do you think?
Well, I'm very impressed.
What the viewer gets out of it is a feeling of being part of a whole audience. You must remember that these shows are seen at home by just a family, and in some cases just a couple of pensioners and possibly even just one person. People don't tend to laugh by themselves. I think television situation comedy changed when it stopped starring comedians. Now, I don't mean there's anything wrong about being comedians, but years ago they were written, situation comedies, as a vehicle for comedians. I'm thinking of people like Harry Worth, Freddie Frinton, Jimmy Edwards, and funnily enough, still going today, Terry Scott.
Thank you, Hugh. My friend here wishes to take out some insurance, but before doing so, he'd just like to see what you have to offer.
We then started to get to a more reality. Most situation comedy has reality. There are lighter strains where it obviously isn't as real, but at least 75% of our output is now of a realistic nature. And actors came in to replace the comedians because you could get more nuances on the whole out of actors, and it was much more believable. And I suppose that happened probably around about Marriage Lines.
If you look back to the early 60s and look at one of Richard Bryce's earliest sitcom performances in Marriage Lines, a very successful programme, It's almost more of a 50s programme than a 60s programme. It's very early 60s. It's almost before the real 60s have begun. It's pre-Beatles, it's pre-permissiveness, etc. And it's very much in a line of descent from 50s British film comedies. Things like Genevieve would be the classic beginning of that kind of trend. Very nicey kind of young middle-class couples, where the biggest disaster in the world is burning the supper.
No. We can't eat that.
Yes, of course we can. I'll cut off the burnt bit. It's all right underneath. You know you like my pies.
But it isn't a pie if it hasn't got a top, it's a stew.